Whenever I meet with a student for the first time, I try to diagnose what it is exactly that is causing them to lose in the majority of their losses. And recently, the most common problem that I see by far is students with a match history that looks a little bit like this one. Now, this is the match history of a Nocturne player I met just a few days ago, who had an obviously frustrating lose streak in a series of games where he absolutely deserved to have won these games. You've probably had this exact same problem yourself as well. You'd be chilling in lane, maybe you pull ahead by a solo kill or two, you're starting to snowball and you can see the path to victory, only to press tab and discover that on the other side of the map, your teammates are completely inting. And now you have to figure out how you're going to carry these apes when the enemy Lucian is literally Thanos. Whilst losing games in this kind of way is really frustrating, it's actually an amazing problem that you can have. Because I find that with a little bit of help, my students who have a match history with this kind of problem are usually able to convert at least 50% of these losses into wins. You are ahead after all, you should be able to have a pretty big impact on the outcomes of these games, which is where this video comes into play. I'll be going through and listing all of the top reasons for why you're losing games with scorelines that look like this, and showing you how to fix these issues once and for all. The first point I have for you today especially is a really cool one, which is why I put it at the start of the video, of course, so stick around until after the intro to see that one. I promise you, once you see how impactful this small change is, I'll have won you over and you'll stick around for the rest of the video. And as always, with my videos, timestamps are attached, so if you want to jump ahead at any point, always feel free to do so.
My name's Rogue and I played League of Legends professionally for 7 years. Now I'm a full-time content creator and coach for all ranks Iron through to Challenger. So if you want more information of what a coaching session with me will look like, you can find more information by following the link in the video description below.
And while you're in the description, you'll also find the link to my Patreon where I post all of the recordings of my best coaching sessions in full, with almost 1,000 hours of content currently available, all sorted by role and rank, including sessions where I coach for professional level teams. You can get a glimpse of what pro level league looks like from the inside. That's why whatever you're looking for, you'll easily be able to find something that's going to help you improve, no matter your rank. Now, a few days ago, I did a live coaching session with a Vex player who was consistently making a very small mistake that I see almost every solo queue player making. Now, very often what this Vex player would do after winning a team fight would be to try to chase down the kills on the enemies who are running away. Now, sometimes this Vex player would be successful and would chase down an extra kill, which is awesome for their gold lead and for their KDA. But the implications this has on their XP is enormous. It may be hard to understand why chasing down kills could possibly be a mistake, especially if you get the kills. But it's because these kills are completely inconsequential. And when you're losing games with scorelines like this, your problem is not a shortage of kills and gold. It's that the kills you do get don't actually mean anything. Now, this seemingly small mistake of trying to chase down kills all the time actually has massive consequences when you extrapolate it over the course of an entire game. This really is a matter of death by 1,000 cuts, and this matter is only exacerbated by the fact that all of your solo queue teammates are making the exact same mistake themselves, always trying to chase down kills that literally don't matter anymore. So what we're going to do is we're going to pause right now to see this in effect. The fight is over. There are 4 people dead, and Kai'Sa's not doing anything other than recalling anyway, and we're going to see the consequence of trying to chase this kill by drawing a line right where Vex is standing. Now, what she should do is instantly default over to the mid wave, push waves into tower, and maximize what her opponent loses. But what she's instead going to do is lose some time trying to chase this Kai'Sa, until she gets back to that line where she once began. Alright, by the time she makes it back, she's lost 8 seconds. 8 seconds doesn't seem like a lot, but you're going to see makes a massive difference. So she's already lost 2 to 3 minions worth of gold and XP in that 8 seconds. So we're already down half a wave of gold and XP. But because she didn't crash it in time, the wave didn't go into tower, and she's going to lose an entire wave secondly. But not even just that. The Naafiri would have lost a second entire wave too. And as you're going to see, this isn't a once-off. We go into a second team fight now, and at this moment, the fight is over. Naafiri's dead for 19 seconds, mid-wave is waiting for us, we could go and push that wave in, deny creeps, get XP ourselves and take a mid-tower, but we spend upwards of 10 seconds trying to chase down a kill on Shen that literally doesn't matter, and we've lost 10 to 15 seconds of time. So we've already again lost 3 to 4 minions just in that time we've been chasing. Now finally get the wave into tower and look at the missed opportunity here. We have a Cannon Wave stacked up 2 waves deep with 5 Void Grubs. We would have got 3 turret plates and first tower here had we come sooner, but instead Naafiri makes it back in time to defend. So not only have we ourselves lost half a wave, lost the opportunity to take 3 plates in first tower plus the mid tower, but Naafiri, who would have lost an entire Cannon Wave, is here to catch it all. So again, in terms of minions, this is again worth 3 to 4 times more XP and close to the same amount of gold, but now it also has the opportunity cost of not taking a tower that should have been free to get in the first place. This mistake is being made by almost every single one of your teammates as well, which is why kills never result in anything. Just look at Vex's teammate Miss Fortune. In the first fight, she tried to chase down the Kai'Sa to the ends of the earth. As a result of this wasted time, Miss Fortune herself lost an entire Cannon Wave worth of gold and XP, and the opportunity to hit this bot tower. MF has 3,000 gold worth of AD at the moment, a Cannon Wave, and 3 Void Grubs. She would have easily taken a minimum of 2 plates, and that's just what she gains. The enemy Kai'Sa would have easily lost another 2 waves had we crashed this wave into the tower sooner. Now I did the math on all of this. By killing Kai'Sa, Miss Fortune could have gained 300 gold and 234 XP, which is 1/3 of a level to her. But by trying to chase down this kill, Miss Fortune herself lost 5 minions, the opportunity to take at least 2 turret plates, and by an extremely conservative guess, the ability to deny 1 full cannon wave from her opponent. The total gold value of all of this is a swing of 602 gold and 605 XP, not to mention the fact that you would have literally taken half a tower. The gold from this alone is worth double what she would have gained from getting the kill. But what we really need to focus on here is not the gold, but the swing of 605 XP. At level 8, Miss Fortune's current level, this is almost the exact amount of gold needed for her next level up. Not even mentioning the ability you get from a level up, the value and stats given to a champion on average for a level up is 600 gold worth. By letting Kai'Sa live, and instead pushing the nearest wave into tower in bot lane, Miss Fortune would have guaranteed, with no risk, an advantage worth the equivalent of 4 kills as well as taking half of a tower. Now just this one example with Miss Fortune is a huge swing, but remember, the same mistake is being made by Vex at the exact same time, so it's actually doubled. Now multiply this over every single fight that you will take over the course of an entire game between you and your teammates making the same mistake. You're going to start to see all of this really adds up. Now later in the game, you're going to see what I started cracking down on this and really telling our Vex player where to go, and as a result, their lead started ballooning out of control and they started being a way higher level than their opponents. So we've just chunked out the enemy Bard, and now we're trying to chase down for more. We chunk out this Kindred and burn her ult, and this is where we diverge from our teammates. While we know we want to maximize the result of chunking our opponents and getting them low and getting kills by going to push waves in, our solo queue teammates decide to be clowns and chase. I don't care what happens here. What I want to draw attention to here is Vex's XP bar. She's very fresh level 12 right now, but she's going to take this time now to go push waves and push towers while her teammates run around in circles killing themselves. Who cares? Now Vex, by not following those kills and trying to chase for more like her team, manages to take the XP equivalent of 2/3 of a level, all to herself, that she fully denied from her opponents. She also picked up 2 waves worth of XP, which is worth a kill anyway, and then the top tower, which itself in terms of gold is worth 2 kills. So Vex, by ignoring the fight, picked up the gold equivalent of 3 kills, and the XP equivalent of more than 6 or 7 of them. Enough with mid-game for now though. Let's take a step back to the laning phase and look at a really common mistake I see all too much. This is going to sound controversial to you, but the mistake you're making in laning phase is freezing your wave. Freezing early in lane in order to gain a lead is awesome in the earlier stages of the game, but most people take it too far and treat post 6 stages of laning phase the same way that they would treat level 3, and are missing the opportunity to snowball before mid-game. Look at this Ezreal for example. We are 11 minutes into the game. Ezreal is up 4 kills, that is 1000 gold and 80% of a level over his lane opponent Jinx. Bot lane is over. It is completely and utterly decided. Ezreal doesn't have to win against this Jinx anymore. He now has to win against the enemy top laner, the Kayn. It's actually super easy to understand why freezing is a bad thing to do when in a situation like this Ezreal, where you've already won inside your own lane. Freezing is a way that helps you get a lead over your lane opponent, but it doesn't make you stronger than what you already are. It just makes them weaker. If we are to freeze, what will happen is we will gain absolutely perfect CS. We will go exactly even with the game average. Our opponent, Jinx, on the other hand, will lose all of the minions, and she will go down compared to the game average. But then when we go and compare ourselves to the enemy Kayn top lane, who has just killed Gwen, denied a full wave, gets to take a turret plate, followed by another full wave, followed by a proxy kill, followed by a second wave, followed by a third plate, and first tower gold, this Kayn player just made 2,000 gold in a minute. What did our Ezreal do? And this is where we run into the issue. While we stay at the game average by freezing and make our opponent weaker, there is the opportunity to gain more now that we're far ahead like this, as our Kayn player showed. Now going into the mid game, will our Ezreal player be strong enough to deal with that fed Kayn? And that's the problem here. Jinx isn't the issue anymore, and what you can gain by playing more aggressively and going for plates far exceeds what you can gain by freezing. So when we rewind back here and see, well, we already saw what happened top lane, let's see what our Ezreal gains. He's denying a lot of minions here, and Jinx just went down an entire cannon wave worth of gold and XP, but that's not the issue we have. The issue we have is that that enemy top laner just got an entire first tower, and that's not something that we're going to be able to deal with if we just go even. Once you've made a significant enough lead in your own lane, usually around 1,000 gold or a full level lead, you should basically never freeze. Instead, feed waves into the enemy tower. If you're strong enough, take plates as shown by Arcane. That is the best way to snowball. If you can't get plates or tower dive though, transfer that lead into other places. Force your opponent to defend the wave under their tower, and then ruin the life of their teammates. Go into the jungle or run into the lane adjacent and just dive them. It is best to go to other places and start to put out the fires beginning in other lanes now, while it's still manageable, rather than waiting for the opponent to get completely out of control and then struggling to deal with it in the mid game, which is exactly what you're opting into doing by freezing. For our next mistake, we have something with much bigger consequences than you probably realize, and I see a ton of ADC players lose because of this. That is giving up your mid tower. Mid tower provides a ton of security, especially for your junglers camps, but most importantly, for a mobile, ranged carry type champions, mainly ADCs and mages. ADC type champions struggle in long lanes, where they can be chased down over long distances, and so they swap to mid because the mid lane is a much shorter lane. But losing the tower changes this. Often people swap too late and lose their tower, and 14 minutes is your absolute cutoff for when you have to swap into mid if you're the strongest member of your team and the best to keep that tower alive. Now 14 minutes is where we draw a hard line in the sand and know that we have to have our strongest member mid for several reasons. The first one is because of how turret plates function. Towers, when the platings are still up, gain armor based on their missing health. In this case, this one's missing one plate, so it's at 65 armor. This goes up to over 200 armor when the tower is low, but watch what happens when I press play to the tower's armor here. It falls off instantly. Now, when your tower that has 200 armor all of a sudden goes down to 40, your 0-2 Vex dying a third time suddenly has huge consequences because that is your mid tower and your problem to deal with. Obviously, Smolder would be better in this situation, but that's not the only reason. If we put Smolder mid, he can project influence onto the top side and stop the Nasus. We could have him being the one who gets involved in the Herald fight rather than the 0-2 Vex. But what's important here is how waves function. 14 minutes is the beginning of macro. Whoever gets priority over mid takes control of any part of the map that they want because wave arrival times are staggered. Both waves spawn at the same time, but starting at 14 minutes, our mid wave has arrived in the center of the map, but our side lane hasn't. Whatever team gets priority of a wave the moment it arrives can move into the adjacent lane and transfer priority because that wave in the side lane is still alive. Now, if we were to put Smolder mid, who has 8 kills right now, versus this Renekton, he would definitely get priority and could transfer that into any portion of the map he wanted and join in fights, and with 8 kills, he would benefit a lot. But instead, we leave our 0-2 Vex there, risking to lose our entire tower, and I guarantee you, we are not getting mid prior when our 0-2 Vex is sitting there, and we can't make use of any of this wave-to-wave macro anymore. Look at the Zeri player, for example. She's probably the strongest member in the game, but she gives up laning mid in order to go save her bot tower. But by leaving mid, she leaves the fate of her mid tower over to her teammates, who then go to take a fight and lose the fight. The consequences now of her teammates' mistake losing this fight, because it's after 14 minutes, is that her mid tower dies instantly, and the impact of this is best seen by looking at the timeline on the replay client. Before this mid tower was taken, the game was 50-50. Both teams are trading back kills evenly, and the score is 16-16. It's anyone's game. But now look at the timeline after the tower falls. It becomes a sea of red, with almost every kill, tower, and objective going the way of the opposing team. Losing mid tower was the stark turning point as to where the game became absolutely unplayable for Zeri and her teammates. Now that mid tower's fallen, watch how reactive Zeri's game becomes because she can never contest the mid prio without the safety of the tower. On her first wave, she actually does get the mid prio, but that's because our opponent's in base, because they just won a team fight of course. But after getting this one wave of prio, which we don't do anything with, we never again can get prio on a mid wave and utilize wave to wave macro. Firstly, our Lulu gets picked, which sucks on its own, but with the mid tower still alive, we'd probably be safe to catch this wave at prio anyway, but instead we just have to stand here and wait to receive it, since if we walk up to this wave, we just die. So now we just have to wait to receive the wave, and we definitely can't follow into this bot side jungle, so not anything we can do for our Katarina, but we also can't walk up and contest this wave again, because the entire enemy team's here, and if we contest this wave at prio, we're probably going to die. It's only once our opponents have walked off that we can catch the wave, but we're 10 seconds to the wave already, which means that our side lane waves have already died, our Maud's already dead, and now we're just playing reactive to the Riven. And now we're up here all of a sudden with Dragon spawning in 5 seconds, and we're top lane. We didn't want to make any of these decisions, but our Zeri player hasn't had any control on the outcome of the game anymore. She's just responding to what her opponent does because she can't get prio of the wave without the safety of her tower. In an extreme example from my old series of How Pros Think, you can literally see me do this as Kled top lane. I kick my mid lane Natalia out of mid because she's 0-3, and I put myself there because I'm fed. Because of this, I'm able to defend my own mid tower and end up breaking my opponents because they didn't take the same measure. They stayed in a side lane and didn't protect their own mid tower. Now, for the rest of the game, they have to try and contest mid waves with a Kled ulting at them without the safety of their mid tower, which ended up being the reason that I won this game in the end. For our last reason why you can't carry games, and it's really a bit of a catch-all, but it's a big one. You're probably having a lot of lost time. This means recalling for no reason, delaying recalls for no reason, and the one everyone's going to hate to hear, stopping to take jungle camps. When you are fed, especially if your teammates are behind, you are incredibly in demand. If you are not present in a fight, that fight will instantly be lost and you can't act surprised about it. So you need to maximize the time that you spend involved in the game. And I promise you, if you go back and watch your replays right now, you will find minutes worth of lost time in every single game that you played. It really, really starts to add up. You'll start to see there's a ton of different ways of how you're having lost time, and it just adds up to be so much in these games. Now, doing things like fighting and pushing side waves and taking neutral objectives is something that will contribute to a map state and actually do something to help progress the game. But stopping to take a jungle camp, all it does is give you a little bit of gold. It doesn't force the enemies to respond to you, it doesn't scare them off, it doesn't do anything. You're essentially AFK for the 15 seconds that we're doing this golem camp. We're not pushing top to force a response, we're not folding into mid, and our poor Nami player is just standing here trying to get vision, begging for a side laner to come help her, but she just has to wait 20 seconds for my Fiddlesticks to take golems. But let's just double down on that mistake and recall with 500 gold. So we've already lost 15 seconds, what's another 10 on a recall, and yep, I'm sure that Null Magic Mantle is completely going to change the outcome of a teamfight Fiddlestick, so really good job. Now another 20 seconds of wasted time while we run out of base, and I am shocked at this point that no one on our team has just ran into a tower and killed themselves, because that's what people like to do when you give them the opportunity with messed up tempo lines. With all the time that our Fiddlesticks player spent doing camps, and all the time he spent recalling for no reason, he is all the way back here with 3 teammates in position with enemies ready to kill themselves, and you're not acting as insurance because you're just contributing to all the lost time by doing unnecessary things. All of these seemingly small details add up to have huge consequences, especially in the games where you're so in demand because you're the only fed member of your team. So stop searching for mistakes from your teammates to blame them on, and start implementing some of the tips that I showed you in this video. Now, if you want more tips on how you can carry your games, or on any other aspect of your game you need to improve on, you can always find something that will help you improve over on my Patreon. There truly is something for everyone on there, with every video neatly sorted by role and rank and chosen by me, including the sessions that I do with pro level teams and pro level players. The link to that is in the video description below. And as always, guys, have a great day.